So, my lesson is on teaching algebra. Okay, so these are just some objectives that I went over, things that I wanted to, or how I wanted to structure the presentation, and just to give you some background knowledge of how teaching algebra pertains to learning, review of algebra for everyday life, how it pertains to what we teach, how do we use it, how are we teaching it, what are the challenges students face, and what are the challenges that teachers face, and suggestions on how to help students, cool web items that I found going through it, and then our fun activity time. Okay. So background knowledge really is just kind of a quick review that initially when algebra, I guess, when people think of algebra, they think of it in terms of finding a value of an unknown, which was expressed in words. And it wasn't until this person, Francois Viette, began using letters for unknown values that solving equations became much easier. So they would try and term a variable in words, and then when this came about and this idea was put into motion, giving a value in X and A or Y for the unknown, it really just tied everything together. And so how do we use algebra? And though students may not connect their algebra to everyday skills, we do use it every day. And I just found this little cartoon that I thought was really funny. He says, algebra class will be important to you later in life because there's going to be a test 6 weeks from now. So I'm just wondering if anybody can apply algebra to everyday life. So can anyone come up with 3 ideas of how we use algebra every day? Or 1? Jennifer?
Like if you're at a store and you have to spend $50 to get a discount, and you have $40, you say, well, how much more do I have to spend? What's X?
Absolutely. Okay. Anybody else?
I was just going to say, finding out the tip for a bill.
Percentages.
Have to be somewhere at a certain time, how many hours.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's one of the ideas that one of the common themes that I had come across was trying to find out, if you have to be someplace at a certain time, how long will it take you to get there? If you have to travel, at a certain distance. Anyone else? Okay.
That's all? How do you think your phone bill is calculated? How do you think your light bill is calculated? Water bill, how is it calculated? Yes. You look at electric bill, it talks about what? The cost of power used, the kilowatt hour used, times, let's say 10 cents, plus the fuel cost. Most of the time, the fuel cost is even more than the kilowatt hour used. And that's the model, that's the algebraic equation they use to figure out your bill. The same thing with your phone bill. We are a cell phone bill. The number of minutes used times whatever it is, and the surcharges to it.
So these are some of the other ways, besides what Professor Stem has told us: time, money, perimeter. Geometry plays a very big factor in algebra, which is something that I learned, that formulas, algebraic formulas, and how they're used, and how they find perimeter, area, and all of that. Distance, which is what we said, volume of an item, comparing prices, fractions, are all ways. And just in a paragraph form, it was involves money, time, distance, perimeter of a fence or a skating ramp, volume something, comparing prices, and then when you shop, and then something else I didn't think of was cost versus time. So in other words, is it worth my time to make this item, or would I just be better off buying it instead? So I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what are the overall standards? And this is really, these are this pattern strand, or the strands that I found that I came across, and they grow and they build on each other every year from kindergarten on. But these are the common themes. And so patterns, relations, and functions, which is in kindergarten we see the AB, ABB, patterns, and then somewhere around like second, they turn into this A plus B equals C, and finding numbers, finding relationships within numbers, and how does that increase in evaluation form. And equations and inequalities, greater than, less than, number lines, fractions, word problems, all tie into this curriculum, which is second to sixth. Variables and expressions, we usually see those like around 4th and 6th grade. Sometimes you'll see them earlier. But for the standard situation, this is what we're seeing: exponents, word problems, and geometry. And so what do experts say? And pretty much what we understand is algebra is conceptual. It is abstract, which is what makes it difficult for students to learn. Students must understand the concept of it in order to really master it. That what we've been learning all year and what we've read in the book is saying that you can't just teach the formulas, because you have to understand when to apply the formula, how to apply it, and why you're doing what you're doing. And everything that I've read has said, and we've, all through math, what we've seen all semester long is that use manipulatives whenever possible, connecting cubes. In one of the lessons I did, my kindergarten lesson, I had them illustrate an AB pattern or an ABB pattern using connecting cubes. And so they see that if you can use the colors, you can use the shapes of the connecting cubes, but they're seeing it in front of them. They're touching it, and it makes it a lot easier for them to really see how it's going, rather than just saying it or just seeing it on a board. Counters or something else, the hundreds grids, which is what we saw, how you can touch part of the grid, especially on the smart boards, how you can just touch it and patterns come up, and children in the older grades can see how the numbers are put together. Draw pictures. Students see it for themselves. I know when I did math, the bear problem, I did draw pictures. I had manipulatives in front of me so that I could see it. It made it easier, and it made it, even with the blocks, I put the cubes in front of me so that I can see what I was doing and try and figure out. Students are the same way. There's, the more hands-on they can be, the better off they'll be. We said students should recognize concepts in context. That means that, how is it applying to everyday life? That they can often solve a problem, like if you tell them, okay, this is how you need to solve it, or these are the clues you're looking for, they can solve it. When they get to a test, or when that word is missing, they don't know what to do. They don't know what formula to apply and how. And so one of the suggestions I found was giving them problems where it's not the goal to solve them, but just to have them label what function are they using. Is it division? Is it subtraction? Is it multiplication? Just label the function, and then don't worry about the solution, because your goal is to try and get them to learn how to understand the problem and work through it. And don't skip a step. So we all assume that students that are coming from us, from 3rd, 4th grade, 5th grade, they know multiplication, they know division, they may know fractions and how to simplify. But if when you're starting a new topic and you're starting algebra, don't assume that they know what you think they should know. If you're going to, solve this like we're solving this, you don't just say, okay, this equals, 135. You explain it and you do that work out for them so that they know and they see what's happening. Same way, if you need to simplify a fraction to solve the equation, review the skill and review why it's done. Why are you simplifying the fraction? Okay, word problems are a big part of algebra, and so, as we all see, that they can be difficult for students to master. That we don't teach keywords, and another suggestion I found was instead of taking away points for something, you can offer extra credit for students who bring in a situational word problem that they face at home, that maybe they had to go to Jenny's house to meet for dance class, but they had to figure out what time they needed to be there, and how long it was going to take them to get there. And so if they come in with that and they can set it up properly, give them extra credit for it. It's a great way to keep students thinking about what they're doing and to offer just that everyday, this is what I'm seeing and this is how I'm using it.